Good morning and welcome to Gunner Shot. I hope you're having a nice Sunday with your breakfast of idlis, dosas, or paratas, depending on where you are, or a Saturday evening dinner abroad. Look, having said that, we've gone through the kinetic phase of Op Sindhu. We are now into the coast phase, as you say. You've gone through the boost phase, now you have to go through the coast phase. This is a long haul. And then that's why I thought, let's step back. Take a step back and stop talking too much about victories and battles and all that. All that will happen eventually. But ultimately, what's the long game? The long game is what we have to understand. And for that, I have this thing which I keep reinventing called India's geopolitical mandala. I've based it on Chanakya theory that your neighbor's neighbor is your friend, or if your neighbor is your enemy, his neighbor you have to befriend. And I've built this model, and I keep updating it, right? Uh, as to how to take things along, right? I'll get into this whole business of the geopolitical mandala, but I have two questions to answer beforehand. And these are common questions which I think everyone would have in their mind, which I must answer. Gautam Premchand had written to me. It said, "Sir, what would happen if China launches a volley of 20,000 to 50,000 kamikaze drones on the first day of war? What would our air defense system be overwhelmed?" The answer is no. Why no? And this is something which everyone needs to understand. The question is, does China have the capability to, you know, put out that many drones on day one or any day of the war? You have to understand. You know, you're talking of a piece of terrain, the Demchok terrain. Demchok right up to the Karakoram Pass is about 800 kilometers. Actually, the troops are deployed in packets in this 800 kilometers. You can't go everywhere there. So you will be there in about 40, 50 kilometers. That's it. That's the troop. That's the ground you occupy. The rest of the ground you can't occupy. And it is only from that place where you can fire, right? And you have to fight. And it is just not drones. It is so many other things which come so that you are able to sustain yourself in that area. From there, can you physically launch so many? You can't. You might have the capability and the capacity, but you can't. And drones are not the only, weapons of war. You have guns, you have motors, you have, tanks, you have machine guns, and your people on ground. They need to be fed and everything. And logistics of all that. And what is the logistics of carrying 50,000 kamikaze drones? Even if you take 10 drones per truck, 10 drones, okay, 20 drones per truck, okay, 50,000 means you need 2,500 trucks. You know how much it'll, and even if you say 50,000 drones, I will launch, you need at least two chaps per drone, 25,000 people. Okay, same chap has four drones. You still need about 8 to 10,000 people just to launch drones. You can't fight. You can't sustain. It's not possible. It's not practically possible. Then you are imbalanced. So yes, locally they might be able to do it, but not across this thing. But if you have to do it locally, you can also concentrate your ready resources locally. One. Number two, remember, India and China are fighting in high altitude. In high altitude, the behavior of all this is very, very iffy. You can't go very high, right? You can't use these small quadcopter drones the way you use it on this border. You can't use it on that border. It's limited, very limited. The high altitude limits your capacity to use these kamikaze drones en masse. And the logistics of that is even more worse. So don't worry. That's the first thing which I would like to tell everyone. The mechanics of fighting in high altitude are completely different, and the Chinese realized it after 4 years. Why do you think China vacated, you know, the sunk plains and went back to the starting point. Remember, our country has the only country which has pushed China back, not once, twice. First, when we pushed them back 9 kilometers in Pangong. So, second, we pushed them back or forced them to evacuate. That's a long haul, and that is why it is important what we are talking geopolitical mandala. You have to look at the long haul. Don't look at the short term optics. We have achieved that long haul. That is why I keep saying, look at the long haul, look at distance. The antics about all that, just forget it for a minute. Okay. And then, of course, the next question Gautam did ask me was also, Han Chinese pro or anti CCP are against Tibetan freedom. Completely agree. How do we trust Taiwan? We don't trust Taiwan, right? They go with Sunnites and philosophy. I completely agree with you because this business of Tibet being part of China is there in the Taiwan constitution. This is the issue which we have to cross when we come to it. Part of our problem. Okay. So this is what I thought I will put across these two issues as a separate, but I think everyone should understand this. Okay, now let's get to India's geopolitical mandala. Okay. Now, if you see this a little closely, our mandala consists, of concentric circles. Our internal issues, the immediate neighborhood, which is around us, our near neighborhood, the intermediate neighborhood, and the strategic relationship. I'll discuss each of these turn by turn, one by one. Okay. Right. The first thing, there are ongoing conflicts in the world. It is just not us. There's Russia, Ukraine is still on, the Gaza problem is still on, South China Sea is still on. And all countries today, all countries are involved in these conflicts. Right? Till recently, look at our own case in Pakistan, China, and Bangladesh. Till recently, we used to say, war has not affected us. It has affected us now. And we're going to be in this conflict zone ever. We might not be kinetic, but the larger war is on. It has dynamics. It has windows of opportunity. That is what I want to put across now. Look, we have to understand this tariff war is on. Notwithstanding, USA and China are coming to some equation, yeah, whoa, but it's on. What is going to happen? Your global growth will be divergent and uncertain. It's going to have major effect on major economies. Right? Trump has caused disorder. The new world which he's trying to fashion, God knows what it is, right? But WHO, IMF, NATO, they're all becoming irrelevant. Tariffs, internal actions in America are creating chaos. So America is, very dynamic at this point of time, to say the least. And that has effect all over the world. Okay. The rules-based order, which was defined by the international, institutions, it is being broken. There's nothing new to replace it. We are stepping into vacuum. We are functioning in vacuum. And that is why you see there's a whole lot of dissonance in the reactions on Ops Sindoor. There's no one who's able to guide everyone there. So we have undertaken Ops Sindoor at a time of great diffusion. The fog of war and the fog of international relations, both we have gone in. There are repercussions of this, there are opportunities in this. Okay. You take any metric or matrix or whatever you call it, metric. India's position as the fastest growing economy gets reinforced by the day. That's the first thing. The second thing, the Chinese economy is very, very dodgy. And I'll talk of the Chinese strengths and weaknesses some other day. And it's very dodgy. Don't get carried away by many things which are happening. It's not only their after this, I think their forge is also dodgy, which I spoke of, but I'll mix the two and we'll talk of it maybe tomorrow or day after. We have to understand this whole dynamic. Is there a recession looming in USA? It's on the cards. The way the treasuries are being sold off, China has already sold off a lot of its US treasuries. It's dropped down to the third thing after Japan and Britain. So there's a issue with Chinese. The US economy is in, if it goes into a recession, if the yields go high and the bond values fluctuate, we're going to have a global impact. How do we navigate that? That's more important than navigating the stupid Pakistan. Let me be very clear. That has more value for us than Pakistan. Pakistan has been tamed for the present. We have to think beyond that. But you can't lose sight of it, right? Chinese economy is in the dumps. I'll talk of it later. There's a crumbling wall of China, which I've been talking of many times. Look at the bottom. The basics of demography, climate change, and political instability are hitting it. All the ones in the green actually should have been in the red. I'll next time I'll correct this slide. They're all in the red. Diplomacy, technology, and military were supposed to be the leading lights of Chinese power. But unfortunately, diplomacy is failed them, military is failing them. It's only technology which is sustaining China. So there is a problem in China which we have to understand. I'll talk of it more later. Then Europe. Europe is in a mess, but there is remilitarization of Europe, which is happening. If they don't remilitarize, there's a problem. And herein lies our opportunity. The opportunity in this is that, look, things like Akash, BrahMos, many other things have put the Indian defense industry in the forefront. Europe doesn't have the capability, even America doesn't have the capability. A few days back, someone asked me, look, America doesn't have the capability to produce TNT. They don't have the ability to produce gun cotton, which is basic required for nitrocellulose and for uh, basic propellants. Do we have that? Yes, we have that. Can we expand it? Yes, we can. Do you have the expertise? Yes, we have. These are hidden strengths of the Indian economy. So there are opportunities if we can start looking beyond Pakistan. There's a centrality of India in global affairs which is emerging. We have to get over our own inhibitions to start addressing the centrality or exploiting the centrality. My view, and I have held this for a long time, India's rise is unstoppable. Germany, Japan, and China, which Japan equivalent to us, Germany and China are ahead of us in economy, all had a peace dividend. They were aided economies. Ours has been an opposed economy right from beginning. We had sanctions, we had everything. America was against us. You go back in times, 70s, 80s, even to buy a scooter, you have to put money in the post office, some 500 rupees or so for booking, and you got it after 7 years. That was the kind of restrictions you were under. You had wars, 48, 62, 75, 71, 65. Then the proxy war, now Op Sindoor. All these would set your economy back. All these would impede your economy, but I don't think Op Sindoor will. We'll talk of it later. Then you fought insurgencies and you have gone through multiple sanctions, MTCR, CATSA, this, that, yet you have grown. And today, as per analysis, India is the only country which USA can't twist its tail because you're a consuming economy. China is a producing economy. Japan is a producing economy. South Korea is a producing economy. US can't influence them. Or rather, US can influence them because US consumes their product. And if there is no consumption of their products, all three economies, they suffer and they are suffering today. Whereas in India, it's not so. USA cannot affect us because whatever is produced, we consume. We are the only global alternative to consumption from aside USA. That is why people are, even China is not taking open positions against you, Pakistan. Though it internally and to a certain extent externally, it is pro Pakistan, but the government has not taken a position. There are strengths in India which we have to start thinking of. Then let's get to this or mandala. Okay, I'll go layer by layer. The first thing, the immediate neighborhood. What is the immediate neighborhood? It is Pakistan, China, and the Indian Ocean region. We need to focus today on these two, and you can't leave this out of your view. This is hostile to us. This is These two countries are also the prime drivers of our security, and they are also the prime drivers of our growth. This is the thing which we have to understand. These Both these countries, are adversarial. We have direct conflict with them. They're constantly challenging us. They're threatening us. They're collusive, and what has come forth now? We are in an intense nuclear environment. I spoke of it yesterday only. The long term promises to be full of a gray zone and a proxy war, and we have to start looking at it from a hybrid point of view. In fact, today morning at 7 o'clock, I put out a video of General Atta Hasnin, an excerpt of what we did 3 days back. It's called Hybridity Invites Hybrid Response. So we have to look at these things, right? We are living in the most complex environment, and it's most consequential to our growth. Aren't we living through that? We are. And this is a time when we have to have clarity of thought as to what we need to do ahead. You have to also understand that Pakistan and China are in economic trouble at this point of time, right? And it is in this that Opsindur provides us a window of opportunity. Pakistan will get into a deeper trouble economically because where will it go now? You stop the Indus water. Water. You are affecting their, agricultural economy. You hit them hard. They have to, rebuild everything. There's a loss of faith in the weapons they have. If something has happened to the nuclear thing, I'm sure something has happened, 100%. Then they have. What do they do with that? They can't make it up overnight. It's a major loss of power. What about China? China's military is shaken up. The radio didn't function. Got jammed. Okay, and add it. That's why I said I'll do this analysis of China separately. But this is it. You gotta. It is going to be very threatening, but it gives you a window of opportunity. The next window of opportunity, I say, is after this, Pakistan will take time to recover. So will China. The hard fact is, instead, everyone says Rafales have been shot down, but I don't know why. The Rafale, Dassault aviation prices have gone up. Having aviation price, stock prices have gone down in this period. That's funny. I'll show it tomorrow or day after. I'll do that. The near neighborhood, which are the other chutputs around us: Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Maldives. These are all in constant turmoil, episodically. They're never stable. That's the history. One day they're with you, the other day they're with China or whoever it is. They are constantly hedging against us, between us and China. They're caught. They can't do much to us. But the threat through them will be indirect and dangerous. Luckily, today, Sri Lanka is firmly with us, right? We don't have to bother too much beyond a point. China will be there because Sri Lanka is in debt with China. That they can't run away. But they realize their core interests are with India. Maldives also realizes it. that they can't go close to China because China has not helped both of them. Myanmar is going to go into trouble. I'm telling you this now. If there's not enough trouble, USA is entering Myanmar. It's going to happen. That's the next focus. And we'll talk of it maybe as early in the next 2 to 3 days. And they're going to go through Bangladesh. So Bangladesh and Myanmar, you have to fix together. So that is some trouble which you have to look at seriously. Bhutan is okay. Nepal will switch to us because Nepal has lost a person in against Pakistan, in this option group. If nothing, they'll realize the value of what we are doing. It will come. It's a human reaction. Afghanistan is the opportunity here. Already our external affairs minister has spoken to them. So things are changing. This unstable neighborhood is something which we have to navigate. And then, of course, if you want to emerge as a strong power in this area, regionally we have to be very strong. These geographies, immediate neighborhood, China, Pakistan, very important. And if for my money, this is my area of focus. If I'm strong at home, I'm strong everywhere. Look at USA. They're not strong at home. So there are problems outside. Look at China. China is not strong at home. So they're weak outside. India has to be strong at home and in its neighborhood. Then you're on the ball. Okay. Look, what is our immediate neighborhood? It's full of opportunities. What is our immediate neighborhood? Central Asia, Middle East, Africa, ASEAN, Australia, South Korea, and Japan. Middle East, Africa, Central Asia, they're in turmoil. There's some conflict or the other going on. For that matter, even ASEAN and China, and Japan, South Korea, they're in problems. The problems are different. In fact, if I say these three are in one packet, these three are in another packet. But overall, this lot of countries, even today, favor you, whether directly for what you offer to them or indirectly as a hedge against China. That is very clear. Just today, read that Philippines is looking at Akash missile systems. Okay, part of ASEAN, and they've already taken BrahMos. Now they'll want more. And now China will have to rethink. What do I do? Philippines has BrahMos, has Akash. I can't do anything. And if tomorrow Taiwan also takes these, I wouldn't be surprised if the Americans land up and say, give us BrahMos. They might say, they might not buy directly because that's a joint production with Russia. But they'll quietly nudge others to buy BrahMos. And let me tell you, having been dealt, look, I started dealing with BrahMos when I was a brigadier. I commanded an artillery div and I fired BrahMos. It's a deadly weapon system. And when did I command the artillery division? I commanded the artillery division in 2010, 11, 12. I had all these equipment, Pinaka, Smerch, BrahMos, the works. That sea skimming missile of the naval version is deadly. You can't stop. So what I'm trying to put across is opportunities. There are military opportunities, there are economic opportunities. Okay. And these are largely stable countries, except of course Africa. Africa is largely unstable. But you have goodwill in all these countries. This is the time to start actualizing it. Okay. We have strategic relationships with Russia, EU, France, USA, Israel, and the Quad. These are critical. What has Op Sindhu taught you? You can't rely on them. You can't rely on them for diplomatic support, except probably Israel. France was also muted. The Quad didn't function. Not a single Quad country came forward to even condemn Pakistan. These countries depend on us and we depend on them. We depend on them for technology. They depend on us many things. Russia depends on us for many other things. If we had not assisted Russia, they couldn't have lasted the Ukraine war. Okay. So if you don't buy Rafales from France, France economy will be down the dumps. EU, if it has to remilitarize, which I said earlier, it needs India. That's the great opportunity. There's a lot of interdependency. It's not one way. But at the same time, we need to understand there are political and historic linkages lurking under that surface. And they're not straight. And remember, these are the countries which colonized us. Their mindset is different. Right? They don't know how to deal with us. And that is one of the reasons why all these fellows went to China to start with. They felt China was a better place, but now China has looted them. They have no choice but to come to us. So there is going to be a cooperative element and there's going to be a competitive element. And these power equations are changing because one between USA and Russia changes, EU Russia is changing, EU USA is changing. So and Quad is vacillating. We'll see how Quad shapes up. Quad is they want a one-way street that they want India support for, to contain China, but they don't give support to India when we have to sort out Pakistan because they don't understand that sorting out Pakistan is also containing China. We'll talk of it some other day. And then there's this Russia-China relationship, which is rocky for us. For them, it's a different story. For us, it puts Russia in a question mark always. Look, at the end of the day, here, I will only put one thing. Indian interests matter to me. What others think, I couldn't get a damn. That is something which everyone has to understand. Indian interests. I should look after my interests, not others' interests. This uh, cartoon came out 2 years back in South China Morning Post. In fact, here this face was Biden's face. I morphed it into Trump's face now. But this is what they think, and we should think that way. Are we thinking that way? Are we thinking as a great power? This one cartoon I keep showing everywhere. It's a very powerful cartoon, and we need to understand this. Are we behaving in this manner? Need for reflection. I will say, are we behaving in this manner? Yes and no. Both. Okay. But let me I convert it into a quadrilateral with, where USA and India are on the opposite sides of this quadrilateral. China and Russia are on the opposite sides of the quadrilateral. There's attraction between USA and India because it's episodic. Everything is episodic. There's attraction between China and Russia. These cross diagonal attractions are not as strong as they were, say, even 6 months back or 2 months back or 1 year back. They're episodic. So this quadrilateral keeps changing shape, but the fundamentals don't change. That is something we need to understand. But there are certain constants in this. And that, again, is something which we have to understand. What is the first constant? China India equations, right, will be strained. It will be strained for a long time. I don't see a time when India and China will be on the same page. Now, India is a global partner to both Russia and USA. We need both. They both need us. Can Russia and USA balance China out without India? Sorry, it can't be done. Russia, without India, Russia couldn't have balanced China. That's coming out very amply. If you analyze what happened when recently Xi Jinping went to Russia. Lot of pomp show and all, substance zero. Putin could do that because he had India as a backstop. Now, same with Trump. He'll come back. It's a matter of time. Okay. Can US afford to take on the Russia-China equation without India? It can't. So we have to understand we are a global balancer. We are there. A lot of us get. I'll talk of the internal factors because they're probably the most important of this mandala. So the internal issues. You're the fastest growing economy, it will not change. But you're energy deficient. You have to reverse that. How do you do it? There are methods, but it's a long term process. You need a plan for it. Do we have a plan? In some way, yes. Climate change is going to affect all of us, and climate change is a, a variable which has no definition. We have to prepare for constantly. We are disaster prone, whether it's you know earthquakes or mudslides or rail disasters or cyclones. To a large extent, we've improved in this, but there's a long way to go. Every disaster, if it takes its toll, is going to pull your economy back. Every disaster which is averted gives you that surge, it gives you a bank. So we have to invest more in disaster management, which we have. I mean, luckily we are on the right track here. Look at how we've been handling earthquakes in the recent past. And climate change and disasters have a connect. The problem is our politics. I mean, to talk too much of strategic dependencies, we are there. We are conscious of it, that we need to get out of it. We will get out of it, I have no doubt. But the next two, partisan politics and lack of strategic culture. That's hugely bad. Politics matter, or political leaders matter. The kind of statements each of them give matter. And I'm not happy. And I'm not happy with many of them. Either they're extreme jingoistic or extreme, critical of the others without value. And many of our political people don't have the strategic culture. And many of them say, oh, Maro Pito Kato against Pakistan. Even before Op Sindhu started, I was saying, don't get into Pakistan in a hurry. Why? Pakistan has got an adequate military strength. It might be a poor nation, but its military is rich. That analysis I'll do tomorrow. It was never going to be easy. What we pulled out is remarkable. What we pulled off is remarkable. I'm happy for that. But to think that Pakistan is a rollover is foolish. You need a long-term plan against Pakistan. That's what I've been always talking about. You have an improving situation in J&K and you need to expand it. Manipur is still in turmoil. You're not 3 years, and that deterioration is purely due to political, by partisan politics and lack of strategic culture. And you have ethnic and religious tensions. You see the social media; it's full of that. Do you need it? The one thing which we should never give away, right? We are a Hindu majority country. There's strength in that. There's no doubt. But equally, you have other minorities in great strength. You probably still have more Muslims in India than Pakistan. You have one entire Pakistan in India in terms of Muslims. You have to live with them. They're our strength also. They might be some of these people, misguided elements might be our weaknesses. But largely the Muslims are also strong. Haven't you seen how many Muslims have come forth in this period to talk against Pakistan? You can't wish them away. So this blind thinking against minorities is going to harm us in the long run. Many people might not like what I'm saying, but I've grown up in the army where we respected everyone. I've commanded Muslim troops, I've commanded Christian troops, I've commanded Hindu troops, I've commanded Sikh troops, and any other lot of troops. A fundamental thing is this: the man is a man, he's your man. I have to take care of him. He's going to shed blood for my country, our country. Some of these people have done the best. What do you call of Albert Eka, Bhana Singh, Abdul Hamid. Well, they've done got the highest awards by sacrifice. How can you ignore them? Right? Then you have a lack of a good defense industrial base. Op Sindoor has shown what we have progressed, but equally there are a lot of places where we have to cover a lot of gaps, and that needs focus. You don't have adequate budgets and capacities. You not build them up. You want to be a power of high quality. You need to do all this. What does Op Sindoor taught us? Modernization and capacity building is prime. You need adequate funding for it. You need budgets. You need the capability to spend. You need structures and capability to spend that money. And what to spend on. You need structural modernization of the MOD. You need theater commands. You need outlook modernization. What has happened in Op Sindoor would have given you the framework of good jointness. It's great. We've done fantastic there. But we should take the next step of theater commands. This should propel us into theater commands. And then the organization becomes stronger. Technology infusion. Everyone says high tech, high tech, high tech. What does I've been saying this from God knows when. This slide, let me confess, I have not changed one word in this slide from the day I made it. And when did I make it? 4 years back. The context changes, but the slide has not changed. I, every time I explain it in a different manner. But this is something which I have been proven 100% right. I have been arguing for this. The best technology is what wins you wars. It's been proven in Opsendur. 60s vintage L70s have knocked off modern drones like flies. So you have to adapt technology to the battlefield and don't look for the best. Look at what wins you wars. And the costliest technology, which you can't afford, might lose you the war. And that's history. Look at Pakistan. Sorry, look at USA. The best technology force in the world. They've lost Vietnam and Afghanistan. Hands down. Right. Military diplomacy is something which we need to focus on. Normal diplomacy is inadequate. Let me assure you, it's just not enough. This is a major deficiency which I've been harping on for the past 2 years, reinforced in Opsendur. Major militaries, major powers need a huge quotient of military diplomacy which we don't have today. Period. How do you do it is a question, and maybe someday I'll get a whole discussion on this. You need to do equipment modernization through Atmanirbharta. That's a success. Akash and Brahmos are success stories. For that matter, integration, Akash Tir, great successes. Rely on yourself. Drones, rely on yourself. Space integration, strategic communication. We failed. Let's be very honest. The Pakistanis and Chinese have a very sophisticated strategic communication setup, which they've refined over a period of time. We're not invested in this. We're just not invested. I'll talk of this later. We should be honest enough to understand what we are doing and not doing. The question which I keep putting to myself, to everyone, and answering: are the Indian armed forces modern enough to defend India? The answer is always yes. We have space, nuclear technology, missile building program, shipbuilding, gun technology, aircraft technology, and communications. We have most of the technologies. You don't have some, we'll get them. Or you innovate. Are the Indian armed forces modern enough for a regional power, which is destined to be the third largest economy? Not yet. You have major capacity gaps. But the opportunities are there. China is a declining demography, sluggish economy, internal tensions. Pakistan is economically defunct. After this Op Sindoor, it will be even worse. The real fight is ahead, not now. That's gone. And we're going to talk of that. I'll talk of it immediately. What is the thing? And put certain concepts in place tomorrow morning. And later we'll take it off. And that's all I have to say today. I hope you liked it. If you liked this video, please do press that like button. If you feel that Gunner Shot is good, join Gunner Shot. Join as a member and join as or subscribe to Gunner Shot. Tell your friends. And my appeal is largely to those people who are living abroad. I started this early in the morning so that people abroad, largely in USA, can see it at around their dinner time or late. Those in the East Coast will see it at about 11 o'clock or so, maybe with a drink or just before going to sleep. Those in the West Coast will see it with their dinner time. Like, that's why I've started this early morning podcast. Otherwise, I was not interested in it. But I think after this option, though, there are many things which we need to understand. The worry that people abroad have, that look, no. And then when you get this kind of knowledge from people who are good, I'll get guys who can join me at 8 o'clock in the morning, thinkers. You can talk in your environment rather than thinking that India is in a prehistoric state. I've started this early morning thing largely for those people abroad. Those in India also, with your breakfast before you go to office or wherever. Okay, so let me take this questions first. First and foremost, Bharat Patil, thanks for becoming a YouTube member of Gunner Shot. Same Vasu Iyengar, thanks a lot for becoming a member. Thanks a lot, Prodigy, for your super sticker. So honored. Thanks a lot, Vivek. You've been always a support. So honored that you've been contributing. Uh, yeah, we have deployed Eagle and Falcon sections and units to deal with kamikaze. Yeah, we have. Don't worry. Okay. Will execution of IWT slow poison strategy be difficult to implement since Pakistan will run for global sympathy, particularly if there's a humanitarian catastrophe? I don't think anyone is bothered beyond a point. And I don't think anyone can influence us also beyond a point. So don't worry about that. I'm very sure that we know how to handle this. Right? Yeah. And also Kamal Sethi, welcome as a member. Honored that you joined. So it's a matter of how to handle these guys. So don't worry about it. Yeah, you told us before that China won't let us have our way because once it lets us have our way, it could lose influence over on our interests. Will US let us have our way? No, it won't. No one will. You need to be. You have to play to your best interests. That's the simple. That's a simple thing. As simple as that. You have to be Maucatarian. China will always be inimical to you. Let's be very clear. Okay. But USA is something you have to play carefully. There are the larger convergences are with USA still. But you have to play this Like right now, there's a rash, prickly heat coming from USA. They've virtually let us down, but that's par for the course. That fellow has let Trump has let everyone down, so ours is in a minor way. But at the end of the day, we still need USA, and USA needs us. Let's build on that. If needed, say to hell with them. Once or twice a week, please give suggestions, recommendations for further reading, watching to supplement your analysis for us to expand our knowledge. Yeah, I will. I have no problem. In fact, uh, that's why. Look, let me put it. I can talk. I can talk on any subject of the day, right? I can talk extempore. Why do I take the trouble of showing you clippings and extracts and all that? They are reference, and I'll tell, if you see, they are the reference material where you can go, you type that headline in, and you'll get the entire analysis. That is why I take the trouble of showing these slides, making them, and showing you thing. Of course, today's is completely my own thing, but that's the thing. I believe in good, solid reference, journalistic, uh, academic, and intellectual, discourse. Otherwise, no. Hans, good morning. How are you? Gaurang, good morning. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So, Vasu, there's no problem. We'll be able to handle it. I've answered this question. No issue. Uh, ISRO EOS satellite mission failed. CIA doesn't like capabilities of. That's fine in general. That's part of the game. Failure will, one odd thing will fail. It's not as if I know failure, how much I'm failing today in IIT Madras. But we'll succeed overall. Everything is incremental in nature. Be patient. How do you view our new efforts by sending all party delegation to see your point of view? Very good, very good effort, but late in the day. This should have been done earlier. If this had been done before Op Sindur, immediately, and there were enough proof to link that and say this is what has happened. So don't blame us from what we are doing. And simultaneously, if we had done that, the flip would have been different. US and China are working together. They are both working. No, I don't think so. Don't get into this mindset just because China has gone against you and USA has not supported us and probably gone against us at places. No. If you see the other part, US and China, there's a huge problem between the two of them. They can't converge on Pakistan. Pakistan is their battleground. Again, a well-known fact that China has been accumulating weapons at the border over several years. By now, might have accumulated all drones, missile, and whatnot at them. It doesn't happen that way. Remember, money. It doesn't happen that way. You can't do it. Things deteriorate at the border. After 4 5 years, if you have to turn them over, it's a huge thing. It doesn't happen that way. Militaries don't function. Putting boots on ground and claiming territories is symbol of victory, and the only country in Asia at present is India, Vietnam, and Indonesia. So no amount of drones or airborne. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Varmaji. Yeah, I'm a student of IR and now geopolitics of sheer interest. How can I begin my path in content creation for the budding generation in the country? You're an inspiration, sir, for your service. Just start writing. Just publish your own. Make your own blog and start publishing. And if you get good reviews, start putting your views out to, you know, various platforms. Just start writing. One day you have to start writing. As simple as that. Is Japan with Bharat or the being puppet of America and what do what am no. Japan has a problem. Japan is the puppet of America, we all know that, but Japan has helped us to view Japan differently. And we are now started signing defense contracts with Japan. So there's a shift. Japan is one hope. in the east. Okay, major hope. Yeah, wouldn't selling our core assets to countries sympathetically aligned with US open us to diluting a tech advantage because of reverse engineering and loss of IP? That's okay. It's, this is something which is well known, and you can sell them one generation old stuff. Brahmos has three variants. Even in these three variants, there are three categories. So what you're giving to Philippines is not exactly what you are using. So I will not talk more than that. Nobody explains better than General. So thanks a lot, Krishna, for your. You've always been a good supporter. Yeah, great analysis. Sir. What KPI key achievements India should aim for 2047? I'll talk of it later. Don't be in a hurry. We'll talk of it later. Yeah. For Rafael, I think British versus French in selling Euro Typhoon and USA wanting to sell F-16. So they bought more thing Rafale, not so much. Completely agree with you. I'll talk of it tomorrow. There's the international arms scenario. This is big money. They'll come into play. Chinese. What if Chinese lose orders? They have to do all this. They have to do for internal purposes, everything. Role of Nepal. I don't think China has got the capability to come through that, but there are issues. Well, I'll talk of Nepal. I'll get someone to talk of Nepal with you people. I don't think Chanakya's theory work in the case of Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka. I think we need to succeed in the long term. We need to bring these into our fold. I agree with you. Whether we join them in India or not, I don't know. I don't think it's feasible also. But we need them in our fold. That I mentioned. Okay. You're being too negative about the politics. 90s was much, much, much worse and way more divisive. I grew up in riots, barely any. Look, that Shastriji, that's evolution of a country. Okay. I saw this much before. I don't know what your age is, but I've seen our country from 56. I've seen, gone all over the country right from those days because my father was also in the government and I've gone to all places. Why politics has gone bad is but those days we had politics of consensus. Today is a politics of divisiveness. I also know, let me now put it across. You have a particular political orientation. I don't think I'm not aware of it. I don't have. I see things from one distance. I've dealt with all political parties. I've dealt with chief ministers. I've dealt with home ministers. So believe you me when I say this. Thanks a lot, Sudarshana NS. So nice of you. Right. In Op Sindoor, it seemed like from a tactical standpoint, we tricked enemy was waiting for our aircraft crossing border. What other options to weaken enemy quickly in future? We'll talk of it later. There's no hurry. There are many other options which we can do because the next war is not going to be the same as the last one. This one was not the same as the previous one. It changed. Everything changes. The good thing is that we changed. We were able to switch from one track to the other, and we switched three tracks in 3 days. Not many armies can do that. Yeah, most of the people are Hindi Bhashi, so make your videos in Hindi. I'll do that from Wednesday onwards. From Wednesday onwards, every Wednesday I'll have a Hindi. I'm doing it with the alternate media. गायत्री देवी के साथ हिंदी में बात करेंगे. I'm an Indian from Canada with strong Fauji ties. My uncle retired in 1974 as a lieutenant colonel with the Guards. Oh, great. Great, Elmo. I hope you're having a good time in Canada. right? India is at a stage can jump start in becoming world power, different from USA and China, but mentally we need to be transformed. I agree with you completely. Let me, yeah, fantastic session, sir. From 5:30, I'm watching from KSA. Thanks a lot. So nice of you. I hope you have a good cup of tea in uh, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, please discuss your view on ROP with Sanjay Dixit, Neeraj Atri, or Dharma. I don't go to all these people. At best, Sanjay Dixit is good because he understands politics, or rather, he understands geopolitics and international relations. Others, I don't know the others. I've not dealt with them. Look, you must understand, Gunner Shot is an exclusive channel where I get ambassadors, generals, army commanders. I don't get chiefs for one reason. I can get four chiefs also. They'll come. But I believe in being exclusive. So I don't go with normal channels. No. ये आम बंदे जो जिसका कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है उनके साथ हम जाते ही नहीं हमारा तो हम तो प्रैक्टिशनर्स हैं भाई स्ट्रेटजी का हम प्रैक्टिशनर्स हैं मिलिट्री का हम लड़ाई देख चुके हैं हम सीआई ऑप्स कर चुके हैं एक्चुअल लड़ाई कर चुके हैं I'll get those people. People have commanded people in war. I'll get those guys. Yeah, I have not lived. I noticed the living abroad. I noticed Hindu Muslim back home is making it difficult to argue India's case. Abroad also support for India's Israel's disproportionate actions. We need some course correction. Yes, there is a requirement of course correction. There's no doubt about it. I've spoken about it. I speak about it often. Every man in India is your strength. You're only as strong as the weakest person in India. If you make a person weak, he's your weakling. If you make a person strong, he's your strength. Have you been too nice keeping every word of US while powers like US go back? Yeah, I think so. We're soft. Okay. Sir, I joined as a gunner. Thanks a lot, Harshal Patel. Thanks a lot, Fevin, for your super sticker. Yeah, Kamal Sethi, the whole world is enemy of India. Don't look at it that way. They don't like progress of India. India has to maneuver it. Look, it's like this: the whole world needs India. If India doesn't, come to the rescue of the world collapses. And if they need India, India has to progress. They have no choice. As simple as that. Period. 40 years back, people had a choice whether to choose India or China. They choose China then. They're regretting it. They have to choose India. They will come back. So both the sessions on trio hybrid wire and nuclear antics of a nuclear beverage was an extensive critical analysis by done by a top class. Thanks a lot. That's the idea. The idea is to do give the best possible to all of you. How do you see the US-India relationship going? I'll do a separate thing. It will be rocky, but we need each other. We need each other to sort out many common things. I'll talk of it again. Don't worry. Okay. Would the armed forces still consider buying American equipment given their consistent unreliability, or would they decide on a case by case basis? Case by case basis. That's the way to go forward. Okay. We don't have to worry. I've personally negotiated with America on one deal, in fact, two deals. The M777 and the weapon locating radar ANTPQ 37. There are pluses and minuses in this whole story. But if you do the deal well, they have to support and they support. Especially in the WLR case, which we did, one of the earliest deals which we did in at the turn of the century, it ran into problems. I had a very frank discussion with the youth guys. turned around things, and we are okay. Same with M777. There are different levels of operating. It's not political alone. There are practical levels. Okay. Uh, right. I think I've answered most of the questions, major questions which have come out. Um, right. And yeah, thanks a lot for your super sticker. So grateful. I'll come back in the evening with Shreya on P Guru's joint. Of course, it'll be a joint podcast. Till then, thanks a lot. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy yourself. And for those who are living abroad, we'll start early morning tomorrow on your Sunday with your breakfast. Thanks. See you. See you at 8 o'clock in the evening. Jai Hind.